You have been told that the secret to success is to try harder, work more, grind deeper, force yourself forward with clenched teeth and tightened fists. You have been raised to believe that results belong to the desperate, the anxious, the breathless. But I tell you this, the man who tries too hard proves by his very struggle that he is out of alignment with law. Effort, in and of itself, is not sacred. What is sacred is right effort. Effort that obeys rhythm, that cooperates with principle, that moves like the tide, not like the storm. You are not rewarded for stress. You are rewarded for understanding, for obedience, for inner agreement with the law that governs wealth, peace, health, power, and dominion. I no longer chase, I align. Modern man is tired, not because life is hard, but because he resists truth. He fights battles that need not be fought. He does not understand that force is a sign of confusion. The more he tries to break through, the more life resists him, like a man pounding at a locked door when the key is already in his hand, but he refuses to learn how to turn it. You are not struggling because you are weak. You are struggling because you are untrained in law. The subconscious mind, the medium of all creation, responds not to pressure, but to precision. It hears not your shouting, but your state of belief. And when your state is rooted in strain, your world reflects it. Effort is useful only when guided by law. Consider Solomon. He did not gain wisdom by grinding. He did not gain riches by stress. He received them because he asked for understanding, and then lived as if he already possessed it. Or Henry Ford. He did not panic his way to mass production. He built structure. He created process. He obeyed cause and effect. He respected rhythm, and so he rose. The man who hurries is the man who has no plan. The man who strains is the man who does not trust law. The man who begs for results is the man who still believes he is separate from power. But you are not. You are not an orphan of fortune. You are an heir to spiritual law, and once you obey it, you command the world without shouting. Faith is calm, decision is quiet, power is rhythmic, trying is chaotic. Stop mistaking your panic for productivity. Results come to the man who moves with authority, not to the man who begs through performance. I move in rhythm, not in reaction. When your action is born of belief, not fear, you enter flow. When your effort is aligned with law, you become unstoppable. In this speech, I will destroy the false religion of force. I will show you why trying harder is a declaration of lack, not power. I will reveal to you how great men such as Edison, Carnegie, and Rockefeller never begged, they built, not through emotion, but through inner law. They did not need to convince themselves. They had already decided. I will show you how trying without decision is failure in disguise, how your subconscious receives your state, not your wish, how clean desire attracts while desperate desire repels, how the act of surrender is the final proof of true belief, how stillness is not the absence of movement, but the presence of faith, how the process itself is holy, and how law rewards those who walk it without strain. This is not for those who wish to feel better. This is for those who demand to build better, for those who are ready to stop performing and start constructing, for those who are willing to release the worship of effort and begin the mastery of law. You do not rise because you push harder. You rise because you obey more precisely. You are not here to keep trying, you are here to decide. And that decision, when aligned with rhythm and structure, will do more for you in 90 days than years of ungoverned strain. I decide, therefore I move. I align, therefore I attract. I obey, therefore I command. Let us begin. Part 1, the lie of strain, why trying too hard signals lack. Trying is the mask worn by fear. You do not strain because you believe, it is because you doubt. The man who believes moves with structure. The man who doubts performs with noise. When you try too hard, you confess to your own subconscious, I do not yet have it. I must earn it by force. but that very declaration binds you to lack. You have been told to work harder. You have been told that strain is strength. But I tell you, the man who strains to prove does not believe. The man who moves as if it is already done is the man who understands law. You cannot bully your way into abundance. You must align your identity with the outcome, not beg for it through anxious effort. Look to Carnegie. He did not chase. He positioned. He surrounded himself with thinkers, with principle, with exact knowledge. His success came not from panic, but from preparation. He did not build steel by hoping. He built it by structure. And he walked forward as though the riches already belonged to him. Because in mind, they did. My movement proves I already possess. Faith is decision without noise. It is the quiet insistence that the world shall bend, not because I scream, but because I have spoken within. And if you still find yourself trying, check the origin. Is it fear? Is it doubt? Or is it law? If it is law, you will feel rhythm. If it is fear, you will feel friction. Trying is the language of doubt. I act from belief. The man who tries too hard does not build systems. He builds stories. Stories to justify the panic, the over-effort, the breathless hustle. He tells himself that speed is proof of progress. But speed without direction is chaos. You cannot run your way to the top of a mountain if you do not know the path. First, stop, observe, think, align. The subconscious cannot be manipulated. It knows what you believe. It knows when your effort is born of fear. It knows when your movement is born of desperation. And when it detects this state, it reflects it. You say, I'm trying my best. But your state says, I am uncertain. Your words say, I want success. But your vibration says, I am not yet the man who deserves it. Do you know what builds faster than obsession? Decision? Do you know what creates more than hustle? Faithful repetition of right law. The man who decides clearly, repeats rhythmically, and obeys the inner law without emotional clutter. He becomes a builder of results, not a worshiper of outcomes. I do not force. I decide. I command my result through clarity. You must replace straining with structuring. Replace panic with process. Replace performance with obedience. The man who creates wealth, influence, peace, and direction is not the man who breaks himself in search of results. He is the man who structures his days, his speech, his rituals to reflect his belief that the result is inevitable. Let me give you a law. Desperation is repellent. Just as in human relationships, cling to something too tightly and you drive it away. So too with success. The man who begs does not receive. The man who invites, prepares, and allows receives with ease, not because he did less, but because he obeyed more, not because he tried harder, but because he trusted better. In the quiet of your own mind, declare this now. I do not beg for success. I prepare for it. I no longer chase. I attract by my belief, my structure, my inner law. This is not passivity. This is power, the kind of power that Edison carried when he failed thousands of times but never rushed. He was not trying. He was deciding over and over. Instruct yourself with law. Wake at the hour you have chosen. Write your aim with firmness. Speak it aloud with certainty. Move forward, not because you're panicked, but because you are aligned. The man who builds legacy is not the one who rushes. It is the one who moves as if the outcome is already built in his spirit and must now take shape through law. Do not confuse stress for strength. Do not confuse exhaustion for execution. Do not confuse noise for power. Power is precision. Power is rhythm. Power is inner certainty displayed through quiet, obedient, faithful daily motion. And if you ever find yourself trying too hard, pause. Recenter. Strip the emotion. Replace it with law. I am the man who decides, not doubts. I am the one who builds, not begs. I am not the performer, I am the producer. I no longer try, I move with law. Speak these truths aloud until your subconscious accepts them as identity. For once your identity is law-driven, you will never again be ruled by pressure. Let the world chase, you will build. Let others shout, you will structure. Let others collapse under pressure. You will walk forward in peace, guided by inner certainty that the outcome is already written. For the man who obeys law, not panic. Now move forward, not with strain, but with spiritual command. For this is how success obeys its true master. Part 2. Rhythm over force. How all success comes from obedient flow. Observe nature. The sun does not rush to rise. The river does not force its course. The oak tree does not strain to reach the sky. Yet all move, all grow, all produce without panic. This is the rhythm of law. And if the natural world obeys a current without effort, how much more should man, who is endowed with thought, obey without strain? You have been taught that force is strength, but force applied without rhythm breaks the very structure it seeks to build. The man who builds without harmony becomes exhausted, erratic, empty. He adds weight where he needs alignment. He exerts energy where he needs exactness. Force alone is not power. It is waste, unless married to rhythm. Henry Ford did not accelerate his work by yelling at his machines. He improved their rhythm. He refined his line. He tuned the flow. His genius was not in pressure, but in pattern. When delays came, he didn't demand more sweat. He adjusted the design. Success followed not because of push, but because of principle. I work in rhythm. I obey the unseen current. When your inner life is in rhythm, your outer results cannot help but follow. The man who aligns his thoughts with precision, his actions with law, and his days with structure, moves without friction. He does not struggle against the day. He floats within its current. His results come not by shouting louder, but by listening deeper. There is a divine rhythm assigned to your purpose. There is a season, a pattern, a pace. And the man who succeeds is not always the fastest, but the one most attuned. The builder who rests in rhythm creates what the panicked man cannot. Because while others burn out, he builds through the silent momentum of law. Results flow to the man who flows within law. You must begin to study your own rhythm. When are you most clear? When are you most still? What hour do your ideas arrive? What activity expands you? What habit weakens you? Rhythm begins with awareness. Law begins with observation. And those who obey the law of their own nature command results others must strain for. Let me instruct you. Do not just schedule your tasks. Schedule your spirit. Set a morning time where no one may interrupt you. Enter silence. Read your aim aloud. Review your rhythm. Do not rush out into the world uncentered. The man who starts the day aligned finishes the day accomplished. Effort must have direction, or it becomes destruction. There is no virtue in haste. There is no reward for rushing. Success honors obedience, not speed. Look at the seed. It is buried, broken, darkened, and yet it does not complain. It grows, not through struggle, but through surrender to rhythm. The same law is true of wealth, of influence, of mastery. You cannot demand the harvest before you obey the season. You were not made to panic. You were made to plan. You were not made to react. You were made to align. You are not here to match the world's chaos, but to rise above it through the discipline of calm movement. I move like the tide. I do not force. I am governed by inner law. Speak this until you feel its weight. Now understand this. Your calendar is your covenant. If you do not command your time, it will be commanded by others. And if your rhythm is stolen, your results will be too. Let no man, no event, no fear, no delay rob you of your divine rhythm. Rise, move, building, but never rush. for to rush is to abandon law. The man who becomes unstoppable is not the man who adds more, but the one who removes what interrupts the flow. You must guard your energy. You must protect your hours. You must defend your attention. Because if rhythm is broken, your power is fragmented, and a fragmented man cannot command wealth. Return now to stillness. Ask yourself, what rhythm must I restore? What flow must I follow? What law must I obey? Write the answer. Live the answer. For the man who obeys rhythm rises above resistance. And the man who moves with law never needs to try. He needs only to continue. Let others be frantic. You will be faithful. Let others burn out. You will burn steadily. Let others grind against the grain. You will move with the current of law. You will build with harmony. You will rise with precision. And your life shall become a testament, not of trying, but of timeless obedience to rhythm. Part 3. The subconscious detects the truth behind your trying. The subconscious mind is your silent builder. It does not speak, but it never sleeps. It is not moved by noise, but by signal. And when you try too hard, strain too much, beg, plead, or push, you send it one message: I do not believe I have. That message is the seed of failure. You may repeat affirmations all day long, but if your tone is anxious, if your heart is uncertain, if your energy is desperate, your subconscious will obey what you feel, not what you say. It listens to your spirit, not your surface. It reads your inner certainty, or your lack of it, and builds accordingly. Edison did not stand before his invention demanding it work. He did not scream his desire. He moved with calm repetition. He believed. He acted as if it already existed, and because he aligned thought with conviction, the unseen began to take shape. I instruct my subconscious with calm decision. You must understand, the subconscious accepts only definite impressions. It is not confused by ambiguity, but it is unmoved by it. When you say, I hope, you confess weakness. When you say, I will try, you declare hesitation. But when you say, I am, and your spirit agrees, then you command reality. Faith must not be dramatic. It must be decisive. The subconscious builds only what is clear, consistent, and calm. So if your mind is scattered, if your emotion is wild, if your words contradict your vision, you are building chaos into your own future, and law cannot bless chaos. Let me give you the law. Your inner tone must match your outer aim. Speak your vision aloud, but do not shout it. Say it with poise. Say it with rhythm. Say it until it becomes law within. This is how to apply autosuggestion, not with panic, but with spiritual precision. Each time you say your aim, do not perform it, confirm it. Feel the truth of it. Stand as one who already possesses. The man who acts like a beggar will stay poor. But the man who thinks, speaks, walks as if his aim is already his, shapes the very mind that calls it forth. My inner voice speaks power, not panic. I warn you, emotion, when left ungoverned, becomes a saboteur. It infects the seed. It clouds the command. And the subconscious does not argue, it obeys. That is why your thoughts must be wrapped in certainty, not complaint. In faith, not fear. In decision, not confusion. The moment you believe that you must force, you lose. The moment you believe that you must push, you fall. The moment you think that panic will hurry results, you have told the subconscious to delay them further. Why? Because panic affirms to the mind, I am unready, I am lacking, I am unsure. You cannot lie to your subconscious with words. You must speak to it in alignment. That is the only language it understands. I already have what I move toward. Speak that, feel that, live that, and soon your reality will conform to it. Not because you strained, but because you surrendered the right signal. This is how Solomon ruled, with thought before word, with stillness before action, with law before movement. He knew that inner chaos breeds outer collapse, and so he chose clarity, rhythm, precision, And through that inner alignment, riches came without chase. You will not escape this law. You may try to force the world to give you what you want, but if your subconscious has not accepted it, it will not stay. Results built in contradiction will always return to dust, but results born in certainty remain and multiply. Do not chase what the mind cannot yet hold. Build the mind first. Then the result will appear, not by magic, but by the lawful working of faith, not by force, but by alignment. And that alignment begins with how you feel while you act. Calm power, not frantic effort. Now I give you the exercise. Twice daily, speak your definite chief aim aloud. Speak it slowly. Speak it with breath. Speak it with command. Then close your eyes and see it done. Not wished for, done. Then move through your day as the man who already possesses. That is the law. I instruct my subconscious with calm decision. I already have what I move toward. My inner voice speaks power, not panic. Repeat these not to convince, but to confirm. You are not trying to get there. You are returning to what law has already prepared for the man who obeys it. Let your spirit lead your action. Let peace anchor your movement. Let belief be the breath beneath your work. And never again say, I'm trying. Say, I have decided. Let that be the voice that creates worlds. Part 4. Over-trying destroys magnetism. Why desire must be clean. There is a point when desire ceases to be a tool and becomes a chain. Many men fall here. They start with vision, with purpose, with hunger, but then they cling, they crave, they obsess. They want so badly that their very desire becomes the reason they repel the thing they seek. This is not poetic theory. This is law. When you grip too tightly, you create resistance. When you obsess without order, your energy becomes cloudy, and nothing of value is built in confusion. Solomon desired wisdom, but he did not demand it. He asked, he received, he obeyed. And because his desire was clean, his kingdom was secured. Understand this, clean desire is focused, it is structured, it does not beg and it does not flinch. It writes the aim, builds the steps, obeys the rhythm, and leaves the rest to law. My desire is pure, my aim is clean. Say that, mean that, and act in accordance. The man who obsesses without discipline is like a builder who stares at blueprints but never lays brick. He is always preparing, always perfecting, always anxious, yet never producing. Why? Because his desire has become emotional indulgence, not spiritual directive. When your aim is pure, your desire flows through you, not over you. It does not crush your peace. It does not steal your sleep. It moves like a current, not a storm. And that current carries you toward results without chaos. Clarity is magnetism. Chaos is repulsion. Edison knew this. He burned with desire, but he never panicked. He worked like a man who had already seen the end. His faith was so structured that even failure could not shake it. When others ridiculed his repetition, he replied, I have not failed. I have found 10,000 ways that do not work. That is a clear desire at work, not a desperate one. I tell you now, clean your desire. Remove fear from it. Remove panic. Remove the frantic need to prove, to show, to force. Remove the noise. What remains will be powerful, magnetic, and effective. Your mind is a transmitter. It sends out signals, and the universe, by law, responds. If your signal is desperation, anxiety, or doubt, you will attract delay and distortion. But if your signal is calm belief, structured desire, and rhythmic action, you will attract fulfillment, not by chance, but by correspondence of nature. There is a reason gold flowed to Solomon. He did not pursue it. He aligned his mind with the wisdom that governs it, and by that alignment he attracted what others chase in vain. You must do the same. Let me give you the daily discipline. Write your desire. Speak it aloud, then sit with it. Observe your emotion. Is it clean? Is it calm? If it is not, do not act yet. Purify it first. Remove every trace of neediness, of fear, of performance. Act only when your desire is structured by purpose. This is not inaction. This is precision. The weak act from restlessness. The wise act from rhythm. The anxious move too soon. The grounded move at the moment of power. This is not slowness. It is spiritual velocity. That is how Solomon judged entire nations, with one clear word spoken at the exact moment of law. Now I warn you, do not lie to yourself about the purity of your desire. Do not pretend you are calm when you are confused. Do not cloak panic in routine. The subconscious sees it. The world feels it. And the law responds to it. Let your aim be clean. Let it be so simple that no part of you doubts it. Let it be so grounded that even if results delay, your peace does not. I attract results by mental clarity. I no longer chase. I command through belief. Clarity is not an accident. It is forged. It is reviewed daily. It is spoken aloud until no part of you debates it. And when clarity becomes your internal rhythm, success becomes your external confirmation. This is why over-effort destroys results. Because it clouds the rhythm. It infects the desire with noise. And the world responds not to your effort, but to your state of being. If you are confused, you will attract delay. If you are calm, you will attract direction. Clean desire is humble. It is patient. But it is unyielding. It does not grasp. It guides. It does not force. It frames. It does not panic. It proclaims. My desire is pure. My aim is clean. Do not seek results with a scattered soul. Still the soul first. Then let results arrive in their lawful time. Solomon waited. Solomon obeyed. Solomon asked not for riches, but for wisdom. And because his heart was aligned, all else was added to him. So too must it be with you. Do not seek riches first. Seek order. Seek clarity. Seek a clean aim. And from that you shall attract all that is rightfully yours, not by strain, but by structure. Not by chase, but by command. That is the way of kings. That is the way of law. That is the way of results. Part 5, the man who tries too hard never lets go. Surrender is part of law. The man who tries too hard does not trust. He clings to his goal as a drowning man clings to driftwood. His hands never rest. His mind never calms. His effort is constant, not because he is committed, but because he is afraid. And fear cannot build empires. It can only exhaust men. There is a point where effort must end and faith must begin. You must understand, law does not require your panic. It requires your obedience. You are not called to choke your vision into existence. You are called to prepare your mind, execute your plan, and release your grip. The rest belongs to the law. Edison never sat up at night refreshing his hopes. He worked, he tested, he refined, and then he waited. His confidence was built not on chance, but on the spiritual understanding that law rewards preparation. He did not demand results by force. He invited them through rhythm. This is the moment you must hear me. The reason your results delay may be because you have not yet let them come. You say you trust, but your obsession proves you doubt. You say you believe, but your daily panic proves your unbelief. The law responds not to your words, but to your state. Trying too hard is resistance in disguise. It is a signal to the subconscious that you do not believe the result will come on its own. So you force, you chase, you monitor, you repeat actions, not to build, but to soothe anxiety. And this energy pollutes your atmosphere. It repels the very result you claim to desire. There is wisdom in release, power in surrender, confidence in stillness. I act, I release, I trust. This must become your internal code. Speak it daily, affirm it through practice, confirm it through behavior, build your vision, then let it breathe. Lincoln understood this. He led with purpose, but he did not panic when the battle turned. He made his decisions. He held to principle. Then he trusted that the course would obey the higher rhythm. That is not passivity. That is authority under divine alignment. The man who never lets go cannot receive. His hands are too full of fear. He is like the farmer who digs up the seed each morning to check its roots. In doing so, he kills the harvest he begs to see. You must trust the process once it is in motion. Obsessive control is not strength. It is insecurity masked as management. Now, I am not telling you to sit idle. I am telling you to act, then release. Obey your morning laws. Declare your chief aim. Work in rhythm. And once the seed is sown, leave it. Stop doubting your effort. Stop retesting your decision. Let law move. You must understand the difference between building and begging. Building is structured action followed by surrender to law. Begging is restless panic followed by breakdown. You were not built to beg. You were built to believe and obey. Let me speak plainly. The man who checks the result 10 times a day has not released his desire. He still owns it with panic, and what he owns with panic cannot serve him with peace. Let go. That is not weakness. It is the strength of one who knows he has done his part and trusts that law will do the rest. When you surrender, you do not surrender your aim. You surrender your need to see proof immediately. You surrender your obsession with outcome. You surrender your addiction to control. And in doing so, you become available for results. I act, I release, I trust. These are not passive affirmations. These are spiritual instructions. They are proof that you now understand your role. You are the initiator, not the controller. You are the sower, not the enforcer of harvest. Let the principle go to work for you. Let the action compound without your interference. Let the seed grow in silence. Let your result come like Solomon's riches, not demanded, not chased, but attracted by alignment to law. You must feel the difference in your soul between striving and surrender. One is rooted in fear, the other in faith. One pushes results away, the other allows them in. One says, I hope this works. The other says, it is already done. Stillness is not inaction. It is action that has finished its work. It is obedience without obsession. It is faith that no longer questions its own foundation. So I ask you now, what are you still clinging to? What result are you choking with your fear? What decision have you made yet not trusted? Write it down, speak it, then let it go. When you can speak your aim without urgency, without fear, without force, then you are finally ready to receive it. That is the law. That is the path. That is the proof. I act, I release, I trust, say it, mean it, and now live it. Part 6. True builders move calmly. Why stillness is the language of power. The man who is still is not lazy. He is not weak. He is not slow. He is ready. Stillness is not the absence of action. It is the presence of supreme internal order. The man who walks slowly with purpose moves farther than the man who runs in panic. The builder who carries inner silence has already won before he begins. Watch any man of true power, and you will see the same rhythm. Calm presence, clear words, deliberate movement. This is not born from training. It is born from trust. Trust in law, trust in thought, trust in rhythm. When the inner world is governed, the outer world bows. Charles Schwab did not shout to lead men. He did not panic in markets. He governed with presence, and presence is only born in the man who no longer doubts himself. He had made a decision, and he walked in it. Now let me speak plainly. If you are flinching, rushing, apologizing, adjusting yourself every hour, then you have not yet decided. You are still negotiating. And that negotiation creates weakness. It broadcasts instability. It denies law. Stillness is the final proof that you believe what you said. If you believe the seed is planted, you do not dig it up. If you believe the law is working, you do not interrupt it with noise. And if you believe in your definite chief aim, you walk in it before it becomes visible. Edison was not frantic. He worked in order. When an experiment failed, he said, "Now I know one more way that will not work." He remained calm in his kingdom because he knew the end was inevitable. Why? Because he had already chosen to believe. Understand this. Every time you panic, you weaken the suggestion. Every time you speak fear, you corrupt the command. Every time you question the law, you interrupt its fulfillment. But when you remain still, you confirm your faith and invite power. Do not confuse stillness with slowness. Stillness is internal. You may act quickly, but with peace. You may speak decisively, but with calm. The still man is not passive. He is centered. His will is no longer at war with itself. And this, my friend, is the true source of magnetism. The loud man repels. The frantic man misses. The apologetic man is forgotten. But the still man, the builder who speaks little and moves like a king, he is remembered. He builds what others only talk about. So I say to you, begin to practice stillness like a sacred ritual. Rise early. Sit without motion. Speak your aim aloud once and then dwell in it. Let it echo through your being. Let it arrange your thoughts, your breath, your choices. This is the morning rhythm of kings. Stillness must come before decision. Stillness must follow action. Stillness must fill the space between faith and result. This is how law moves, not by noise, but by quiet certainty. The world teaches you to scramble, to prove, to beg. But the law does not reward scrambling. It rewards structure. The law does not respond to begging. It responds to belief, calm, composed, and continuous belief. Now let me ask you plainly. When you walk into a room, do you speak with the power of stillness, or do you broadcast your doubt? When you begin your day, do you command your time with order, or do you chase it with desperation? Correct it. Stillness is not optional, it is required. For stillness is the only posture that allows law to operate at its highest level. It is the signal to the subconscious mind. I no longer doubt. I already possess. So build your days in stillness. Schedule your silence. Enforce your center. Review your plan, rehearse your aim, and move slowly like a storm that cannot be stopped. This is power. Your affirmation is no longer something you whisper nervously. It is a law you walk in. Say it now, with your chest open and your voice calm. I move like the man who already won. My calmness is my crown. I walk like law is already working. Write these words. Read them daily. Embody them. Let stillness become your shield, your sword, your crown, because the world will bow to the man who no longer needs to chase it. And that man is you if you decide. Part 7. Obsession with results destroys process. Why you must love the work. The man who is obsessed with outcome becomes blind to the process that builds it. He is addicted to the fruit but neglects the soil. He wants the crown but refuses the discipline. And in this blindness, he chokes the very process that would deliver him everything he asks. You must understand, true wealth, true mastery, true power are all born in ritual, not in reaction. The man who shows up daily, who sharpens quietly, who builds without applause, he wins, because he has fallen in love with the work. And the work is what reveals the man. Henry Ford did not ask daily for results. He asked daily for improvement. His attention was not consumed with external reward, but with internal refinement. And because he obsessed over excellence in process, the results came as a byproduct. Most men sabotage their success by demanding proof too soon. They check their progress like nervous beggars, hoping that the world has noticed. But the man who is chosen, he does not need notice. He is too busy becoming. You must fall in love with the act itself, with the discipline, the repetition, the silence, the hammer striking the same anvil 1,000 days in a row. This is the furnace of greatness, and the man who embraces it becomes unbreakable. If your joy depends on the result, you will be weak. If your value is measured by applause, you will be empty. But if your satisfaction is born in the act itself, in the sharpening, the planning, the execution, then no man, no storm, no silence can stop you. Thomas Edison lit the world because he fell in love with the test. The 1,000 attempts were not burdens, they were steps. His fulfillment came not from the outcome, but from the work itself. Listen to me now. The builder must become the process. He must disappear into it. The man who becomes his craft cannot be denied. He is no longer hoping. He is becoming. Create your sacred hours. Hours where the distractions do not exist, where opinions do not reach, where no man sees, and still you show up. These are the hours that write your legacy. Not the speech, not the applause, but the empty, disciplined hours when only law is watching. Build a routine that worships the work. Wake with clarity. Begin before the world rises. Lay the next brick. Write the next sentence. Speak the next affirmation. Do not ask if it's working. You are working it. Do not ask if it's enough. Make it enough. Fall in love with doing it again and again and again until the work becomes your identity. Until there is no separation between the builder and the building. You must no longer act from need. You must act from truth. The truth is, the man who repeats the right act in silence becomes a master, and the master is rewarded beyond his dreams. This is why obsession with the result is poison. It distracts the mind, it clouds the plan, it turns builders into beggars. You must trade that obsession for devotion. Devotion to your aim, your process, your law. Say it now, and let it strike your soul. I love the process. The result is already mine. Mastery is my reward. I show up because I am the builder. These are not just affirmations. These are instructions to your subconscious. Every time you repeat them, you remind yourself, I am not chasing, I am creating. Detach from the result. It will arrive. It always does, when the builder becomes worthy of it. Let go of needing to prove. Fall in love with building it in silence. Let your obsession be your discipline, not your desire. The world will hand the crown not to the loudest, but to the most consistent. And consistency comes not from motivation, but from identity. You must become the kind of man who builds regardless of reward. This is how power is born. This is how kingdoms rise, not in frenzy, not in noise, but in the hidden hours where work is loved, repeated, and made sacred. Say it again. I love the process. The result is already mine. I am the builder, and this work is my throne. And remember, results are the shadow, but the process, that is the shape. Love the shape, love the swing, love the silence, and all else will follow. Part 8. The man who trusts law becomes unstoppable. There comes a time when the man who once tried, once doubted, once forced, must cross into law, and when he does, something remarkable happens. The fear vanishes, the pressure dissolves, and in its place stands a calm, deliberate, powerful presence. For the man who trusts law no longer asks, no longer strains, he simply moves as if it is done. You must grasp this truth. All success is governed by law, not by hope, not by intensity, not by endless strain, but by unseen, unchanging, irrevocable law. The man who aligns with it becomes unshakable. Because he no longer fights for results, he walks in rhythm with results already coming to him. Andrew Carnegie built empires not because he tried harder, but because he understood the laws of industry, leadership, and decision. He moved in such obedience to these laws that wealth had no choice but to obey him. The law is not emotional. It is not impressed by suffering. It is not activated by panic. It responds to precision. It rewards clarity. And it multiplies the man who does not deviate. You are not rewarded for stress. You are rewarded for alignment, for obedience to rhythm, for declaring your aim, building your pattern, and then walking it until the world cannot help but yield to your certainty. Say it with power. I build with law, not strain. I am no longer desperate. I am decided. I walk in rhythm, and law delivers in full. Trying is what men do when they are afraid. When they do not know what works, they panic. They force. They tighten. But the man of law does not panic. He executes. He repeats. He holds the line. and the longer he holds it, the greater his return. This is the root of faith, not belief in nothing, but belief in law. The same way the sun will rise, the same way the seed will grow, the same way your effort, rightly aligned, will bring what you seek. Do not ask if it is working. Do not beg for signs. Do not return to doubt. Law does not tolerate the double-minded man. You must become single in aim, single in rhythm, single in identity. The moment you decide that law works and live as if it must, you become unstoppable. Because now your outcome is no longer tied to emotion, nor to external applause. It is tied to unchanging principle. The builder who walks by law moves differently. He does not need to rush. He does not need to prove. He knows. And that knowing gives him calm, power, magnetism. You feel it when he walks into the room, not because he tries, but because he is. This is what you must become, a man of inner law, of rhythm over reaction, of structure over stress. And to become him, you must do this. Write your definite chief aim. Build a pattern of practice around it. Speak it aloud every morning. Obey the pattern, regardless of emotion. Refuse to question what law will deliver, and day by day something holy begins to happen. The world bends to your consistency. Opportunities rise, doors open, not because you chase them, but because you aligned with the rhythm that creates them. The man who lives like this does not burn out. He is not ruled by stress. He walks in power because he is not trying anymore. He is trusting. You must decide today, I will no longer chase, I will no longer panic, I will no longer prove, I will build by law, I will live in rhythm, I will become the kind of man success is drawn to, and as this becomes your identity, your results will change. Your presence will change. You will be seen as one of the few, not because of what you say, but because of how you move. So repeat it. Let it be carved into your spirit. I am the man who trusts law. I move in certainty. I act without strain. I no longer beg. I no longer hope. I walk with power, and results obey me. This is the final principle, the completion of everything you've learned. Law is the structure. Rhythm is the way. And you, the man, are the builder, not with panic, not with begging, but with quiet, relentless command. Begin this way, and you will never need to try again. You will decide, you will walk, and everything you need will come, not by chase, but by alignment. This is the truth. This is the law. Now live it. Now let me leave you with no confusion. This entire journey has not been about effort. It has been about alignment. You came to this message believing that if only you tried harder, forced more, pushed longer, you would finally break through. But trying was the very chain. Force was the very prison. You do not need more emotion. You need more law. You do not need more strain. You need more structure. You do not need more hours of desperation. You need minutes of calm command. Everything I have given you, every word, has one aim: to restore your faith in law over pressure, rhythm over chaos, inner certainty over outer struggle. Understand this fully now. The man who succeeds is not the man who breaks himself in two. He is the one who builds one small piece of structure daily with obedience and belief. And because he does not doubt the law he walks in, he does not flinch, he does not panic, and he does not stop. Say this aloud, not as poetry, but as contract. I build by law, not emotion. I obey rhythm and receive results. I have already won because I no longer beg. Edison did not become great by obsession. He became great by repetition. Ford did not become great by anxiety. He became great by calm planning. Lincoln did not become great by force. He became great by faith under pressure. Each one obeyed a higher rhythm, and because of that, they could wait when others rushed. They could hold course when others folded. They could walk with authority, not because they were chosen, but because they chose law over emotion. Now, it is your turn. You've been trying. You've been pushing. You've been begging life to change. But life does not respond to desperation. It responds to structure. And today, you are no longer a beggar. You are no longer a chaser. You are no longer the man who breaks under pressure. You are the man who decides. You are the man who moves on law, not on mood. You are the man who no longer needs to try, because you already know what works. Build your day by law. Begin at the same hour. Speak your aim aloud. Touch your craft. Refine your rhythm, and then let law deliver. You will look back on this moment as the turning point, not because you found new effort, but because you dropped the old weight. You stopped grasping. You stopped gasping. You stopped trying, and you started building. This world does not reward chaos. It does not reward stress. It rewards calm power under principle. Be that principle in motion. Say it again until it lives inside your bones. I no longer try. I align. I no longer beg. I build. I am the man law has been waiting for. And now go. Return to your structure. Return to your rhythm. And watch how quickly the world begins to bend, not because you chased it, but because you became unmovable. This is the end of striving. This is the beginning of real power.